laptop is not connected directly to the Wi-Fi. I don't understand why, but anyway, I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Linda, if anything exciting happens, show it to us, okay?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, good.
Has everybody said congratulations to Scott and Anita about being on the dedication of the annual report?
It was really nice, you guys. Congratulations. Anita was definitely surprised yesterday, right, Anita?
You could put that, that's putting it mildly, Linda.
Yeah.
Oh, well deserved.
Thank you guys so much. That's incredibly amazing.
Did you get your,
Really?
actually, no, you didn't get it. Do you actually have a physical copy yet?
Did not pick up a physical copy today.
Yeah, it looks like the one that's being signed for you maybe still needs another signature, but I'll
Really?
pop one in your mailbox or something on my way home.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allison.
That's
Actually,
nice.
maybe I'll give you a bunch and you can distribute them to help, more people become aware of all the wonderful things the town does, and you guys do. We never end up going through all the annual report. Like, we always have a ton left over. So,
I do.
Especially when there's no annual meeting for people
right,
to take them when they
all
come.
40 people that show up for that usually, but
Yeah, but they're a
Yeah.
historical document, it's a hell of an honor. It's a really good thing. And that was well written, whoever wrote that. Allison, did you write that?
Allison wrote that.
Yeah, that was really nice.
I
The only
actually
thing that-
read some of your old articles, Linda. That's what got me all wound up about some of these old projects, because I went to do a bunch of research to make sure that I had my facts straight about them. And I was reading about, Pathways Committee back in the early 2000s, and was like, oh my gosh, they already talked about this. It was writing this that sent me down that rabbit hole. And so some of those words were probably yours, Linda.
That's good. That's what we do as humans. We lift and use each other's thoughts and words, right? That's the only way we move forward. But you know what? The only thing that got missed was that Jeff is the ultimate Frisbee coach at the high school.
In a pandemic year.
In a pandemic year.
Well, Linda, that
Which is
was your
where-
job.
which
You
is-
should have told me that ahead of time.
Which
You
is-
have
I know.
That's
I
what-
forgot until this past weekend when they had a festival.
That's where I was when you texted me, Allison. I
Oh,
was out on the field.
yeah, that I didn't find that in any article anywhere. So, and
I
I'd even tried to.
appreciate that. I'm thankful for.
Remember when I called you, Jeff, just to chat the other day about a few things, and I was asking you questions, and you were like, "Why are you asking me this?"
He probably knew something was up.
Anyway,
Very cool.
very well.
I think
done.
Linda liked reading the article because she's wrote a lot of it. Is that what you're saying, Allison?
Well, there were
No.
words, there were things that Linda had said, like, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't, that it lined. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any more prominent voice for the McGonagall Riverwalk that deserved that. I was pretty sure it was you mostly from the beginning. But one of Linda's articles confirmed that definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was,
Say that other
Anita
people
and Jeff are
Yeah.
still behind that one.
Right.
Still working. We'll do an
Well,
update on that. Let's,
Allison, I love
ahead,
the way
Mia.
that you pointed out Jeff's patience and his ability to just kind of work his way through the bureaucracy. It always amazes me. He kind of gets it, about how to move
Yeah,
these things
that's-
along and how to be where when in order to get, like you say, something, a couple lines in the comprehensive plan or something like that. He plays it well, I think.
He knows how
I
to
think
play it,
Lin-
Anita. I'll agree with you. He does know how to play those cards.
Linda
The
knows it
long
really
game.
well too.
Which was
Linda,
not
you know
part of
that
the
really well
discussion
too.
when I signed on to this. I did not realize this slow pace of bureaucracy. And I don't know if I would have signed on if I knew how slow. that
Well, we're trying to go a little fast. I think we shouldn't, I mean, the slow is good. And we're glad you stuck it out, but we could make a little more progress, a little faster, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Well, if the
But,
budget passes June 8th in Rockport, I think we're taking a great leap forward, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah,
remind me
there's some,
Definitely a leap forward. I don't know about a great leap, but a leap.
Okay.
what's in the
Yeah.
Rockford budget that we were excited about?
There's a line item for matching with the DOT, pursuing a grant with the DOT for pursuing pathways, feasibility studies for Route 90 and other spots that the Pathways Committee has already identified. So,
Which
and
actually,
then-
sort of a master.
and it's a game changer because a DOT study now really is going to see that there's been a lot of development in that Rockport corridor that is going to mean a lot of potential change. You know, there's been a lot of development in the Rockport section of Route 90 that may mean changes in speed limit, which means crosswalks, which means, and just Linda's not, we lost her, but I did the, ask forgiveness rather than ask permission thing yesterday where I took my APES kids. Tomorrow's the last day with my seniors and we crossed Route 90 over to Erickson Farm with, which we're supposed, exactly. We're supposed to get a school bus to go across Route 90. And what was interesting is we walked along there and these kids are like, why couldn't we just have a 4-foot pathway here, multi-use, and, a little guardrail that, and look all the way up here. And so they already had design ideas in their mind about like a no-brainer in their mind. And I said, there's hoops to jump through.
What a wonderful project-based learning opportunity for 2022.
Yeah.
Even if it's just presenting to the select board and inviting MDOT to see that, it would be another nudge, a great nudge.
I mean, there would be 2 houses that would have some concerns, but other than that, there's nothing all the way up to the high school.
It's not a done deal. The kids are proposing it.
Right.
It's going to be another little spin on the inertia of that flywheel that leans a little bit more and creates a little more pressure on it.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome, Margot. I don't know. That's sort of that expeditionary learning concept, where you're.
It's that, but it's, I mean,
Project.
to be honest, it's really just, you got to get out there and just say, from a mapped perspective, we're not talking about rocket science here.
Oh, but I mean, for the kids, it's for
Right.
the kids as a learning opportunity to understand all the elements of it. I don't know if it fits in your curriculum or not.
Oh, no, that's and you've got my 2 little guys that I think you got an email from today or yesterday, and that's trying to nurture them to understand that actions don't just happen like this, that there's a whole lot of information gathering. And you sent them in the right direction and Jane sent them right back to you once they gathered that. But, it's
And I sent them a note to say, give me a call. I think we just need to chat a little bit to understand.
Yeah.
They seem really nice. Let's move along here. Did anybody have any corrections to the May minutes?
wasn't there.
Richard's not here.
Did you see Heidi's email
did.
coming in that
I
she
did.
can't make it?
I did. Hey, Andrew. That's better. Thank you. I wanted to see your smiling face. Yeah. I needed, moving on to prospects, committee prospects. Anita, did you have a chance to talk to Lila?
No.
Will?
Have not talked to Will.
What are you talking about?
Prospects for committee members.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Anita was going to ask Will, I think. That was a negative, Anita?
Yeah.
Anybody else?
As in you didn't do it, or he said no?
She didn't do it. She didn't ask him.
Okay.
If you could do that maybe this month, that would be great. We're still short in Rockport. So keep thinking about that. I did think of somebody. Don't know. Hopefully it'll come back to me. Anybody? No?
There were people.
Margot, surely there's a parent. There must be a parent.
Oh, I haven't had that on my. I've been mostly thinking like one of those two boys. I think as freshmen have the ability to kind of follow through with this, or they might be interested. But the other thing is there's some past members who have talked about, like Wendy Zwecker and some others that served or were involved in the past, that might be interested in returning. And I don't know if that's of interest.
Well, Eliza Hazelton said no in the end, which is Wendy's next door neighbor, or was.
Yep.
I'm happy to ask Wendy. She would be Camden. I'd love to have Will, if he's interested, for multiple reasons. So let's wait on that, Allison.
What about somebody like Paul Cartwright? I read some of the stuff that he wrote back when Pathways was formed, and I mean, I think that the mission statement for Camden still says something about these two big ideas, which were the quarry trail and the high school connector thing. And some of the stuff that Paul wrote about why that was important was just, it was so right on. And I kind of felt like, gosh, if somebody had been making all these exact same arguments today with this community, I think the result would have been different. I don't know if he would ever be interested in even just coming to sort of talk to us, or.
I might ask him again. He might be interested in. He might be.
I agree. Great.
I'm happy to. I just saw Paul last week at a party, so happy. I know Paul quite well.
I'd love to hear, even maybe I should just do it on the side too, if not through Pathways, but just to sort of gain his insight into, what he learned with those projects, and what, if, I don't know, it just seems like there's a lot of knowledge there, and a lot of that I'd love to make sure that we take full advantage of.
Two comments. One is Jane Self was there also, and she's an alternate, and she's a wonderful resource. Okay. She tried to express how she felt when it was brought up again in the meeting when she was listening, but she's very, very patient. But she has a lot of history that she knows really well about this whole project, which is why I sent the kids, Margot's kids, to speak with her. And then the second thing, I'd want to ask the group whether we want to sort of start moving resources back to that when we have the energy on Route 90, 2 or 3 other projects. We have the Riverwalk going, we have Maritime Farms, we have Shirttail, all sort of pending, and whether we want to start energizing or starting nurturing another project of that scope. And whether that would start pulling our a little focus. Do we have enough resources to do that? To start saying, okay, we're going to start moving the, start influencing the community in that direction as well.
You're talking about the Route 90 project, right?
No, Allison was, I believe, was talking about the Camden Hills connector, which
Yeah,
would go
and it
from
might not be
the
that
middle school to the high school.
and it might not be that doing it through a committee is the best way. Maybe it's just that the committee should at least educate the select boards on sort of the history of that being a goal, and then I don't know, sometimes maybe things happen faster if it's just a recommendation that staff try to look at something again, or I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying, I think the whole committee should do, should be
So
working on this.
just to put another piece in this is there is in the, and I can't say who or what, but there will be a new big push from the high school and middle school for sort of a much more comprehensive sustainability plan. And it will really be a 4-tiered plan, and transportation being one of them. And I think the connector would make sense. So there may be also an ally within the school system if the towns took them up, as well as if we had some youth that were willing to take it up. I think there may be a different, when you talk about capacity, there, kind of feeding on what you were saying, Allison, I think there may be sort of a subgroup that may have the energy, because that, when my kids were reading that, they were like, what? And this isn't happening. And, and they really wanted they want to understand what were the barriers. And it's really hard because I don't even know the history to be able to talk about those barriers. So I think it's really important. I think having Paul, and even if it's just a conversation to bring some stakeholders in for that conversation. And I don't think we necessarily have to own it in our line of work. But I think there's a lot of entities that might also be willing to take that on sort of in a, the sidecar of pathways.
We're a little bit off the agenda, way off the agenda, but I'd like to close this out, Margot, by asking you this question, which is, who is doing the sustainability plan?
So I will tell you that myself and Peter Nielsen, who's the business director, will probably be the facilitators. And we're talking about in its infancy. So.
That's awesome, Margot. Track it. Be our voice, because it's kind of what I see it, or what I hear it being, is the right person at the right time, putting in the right paragraph regarding a connector in that sustainability plan. So it becomes a part of the overarching comprehensive sustainable plan, which also could feed into the, if we get the MDOT grant for sort of the comprehensive plan for Rockport, it could also be a part of that as well.
Yep.
And there may be money there for that planning too. That sounds kind of cool, actually. And that, that's just the beginning. There's not a lot of energy that we need to put into it, which feeds what Allison was just saying about maybe we can use another committee to help us move this forward too, at least initially.
Are you
and
still
just be
talking
active
about the
participants.
Yes.
Between the middle school and the high school?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. A little bit more than that, because we're talking about a master plan. And so Margot is aware of the Route 90 corridor. And then this is another piece of that. And then there's the wildlife aspect of, the crossings aspects, and about that. So it's all sort of a master plan thing going on here. which is very cool. And it could feed in also into the watershed, Allison, because we have to cross that somehow.
Oh.
Okay, let's get us back. This was all about prospects, and it went back to Paul. I'll commit to asking Paul to come and chat with us. And then also it may just get his interest up too. Could be a good strategy. Let's see.
Right.
I have a little bit, I don't, actually, Allison, have you heard anything about the Maritime Farm Suretail MDOT going out for bid? Sidewalk projects going out for bid? I sent a note to Jeremy, but I didn't hear back. Or could you ask that at the next select board meeting, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. I have not heard, but I almost want to, I'll see if I can get an update now.
Doesn't have to be right now. I mean, it would be great, but
yeah, I'm writing a note for myself. And
what I would anticipate is that, yes, the MDOT is putting it out for bid, or it has gone out for bid.
I almost think I saw it out, like, but I can't confirm that. If I confirm it, then I will let you know. But I'll also ask for an update at the next select board meeting.
Thank you. There may be a couple more things on that list.
Yeah.
Update on the Riverwalk. I have quite a bit on this. And I'll try to be concise. I don't think there are any actions on it, but it's kind of exciting, maybe. So let's talk about the wastewater treatment plant. If you recall, at the 2 meetings ago, you asked me to look into, or I said, let me get my hands around the scope of trying to do an RTP grant this fall, and whether we're in a position to do that for the wastewater treatment plant or a section of the wastewater treatment plant of the Riverwalk. Are you with me, you guys? Allison, yeah, you're good. You're furrowing your eyebrows. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I'm reading.
That's okay.
I'm reading
okay,
over something.
I didn't know if it wasn't because you were tracking. So
No,
this is kind of cool. This is kind of cool. And we have to kind of feel this and wear this a little bit. And I don't know if I remember now, it's been so long, but I spoke to the guy at MDOT who manages the RTP grants. His name's not Doug Beck. He's so good, such a down-to-earth, straight shooting guy. And what I learned is that they give away a few $150,000 big grants, RTP grants a year. And they give them in 2 categories. I can't remember the categories, but 2 categories. One of the categories, Coastal Mountain Land Trust is applying for that grant. This is their second attempt to get the $150,000 grant for the Round the Mountain Trail to work on that. So they have already, and I've confirmed this, they are going to submit a request for a $150K grant for the Round the Mountain Trail. Doug Beck says that if we submitted one for the wastewater treatment plant, it would be for the other category, and we wouldn't be competing against the Round the Mountain Trail. But he said the chances that you get it are pretty nil, because the reality is that MDOT, tried to distribute the funds to more than one town, and that would be 2 huge grants to the same town. They try to get multiple towns going on these different projects. And this would be the second time they would be seeing the Round the Mountain Trail grant request, which scored very high the first time in their scoring system. And he suspects that it'll be even higher now because they've worked on it to improve it. he didn't say don't apply, but that's that. I also asked him, well, what about if we applied for, you know, a 30 or 50K grant, which there are many more of that they award. He thought that there would also be that same issue of distributing the wealth. There's no rule that says you couldn't receive 2 RTP grants in the same town, but and especially because there are 2 organizations applying. You know, Coastal Mountains Land Trust is not the town applying for this for 2 grants, which you cannot do. Each organization can only do 1 RTP grant. So he said, yeah, you could do 50K. And I said, well, then could we use that to build phases of the wastewater treatment plant? Because 50K is going to take us through the wastewater treatment plant. It's going to take a number of steps at that amount of money. And he said, you probably would not get the grant, because they do not like to award grants to dead ends. And that there would be no connector. There would be no way for people to walk out of that. I asked him, I said, well, we did, that is and how it ended up at the Knowlton section, that it turned out to be a dead end. And he said, yeah, but that wasn't the intent when we started. The intent was we were going to connect through up along the road. Do you remember that? We were going to connect up along the entrance route to the wastewater treatment plant and swing it up that way. That was the original idea, to use the funds that way. And he just said that it ended up not being enough, and that's understandable and that's okay. But to go in and say that you're going to have like 3 phases to build this section, it doesn't sell so well. So that's his information. And to me, what that says is that what we need to do is start looking at 2022 for the RTP grant, and start and looking at on the wastewater treatment plant as one entire project, and talk to DEP about how boardwalks would work and things like that. That's the report. Yeah, Allison.
So the parallel track would be other sources of grant funding.
Oh, I'm sorry.
also.
That's right. And Doug said something else, Allison, which you will love. He said, has a wastewater treatment plant considered opening up their grass areas for people to walk in? Because there's a lot of money for park areas, and you could piggyback on that if they were willing to do that. He says there's big money there.
For park. That's what we need. I mean, great. I'd love the wastewater treatment. We can put a playground there too.
No, you know what I mean. He would say that the open grass areas that already exist there, but I just don't think they're that big of grass areas. He was thinking,
kind of are, but so DOT is a fine source of funding, but also we're in the river, the McGonagall River feasibility study that we're doing. We are reviewing a draft right now. They've done a good job incorporating the Riverwalk into everything. We're right now choosing the 2 highest priority sites to do 50% design work on. And
where are those, Allison?
Well, it looks like we're still kind of making sure that it looks like the ones that would make the most sense to move forward with doing design work on would be Knox Mill and Knowlton Street, both of which have, the Knox Mill property already has a concept design for the Riverwalk to go, from the downtown master plan. But with dam removal, that would open up more possibilities for that. But then they did a little concept design to start with for Knowlton Street removal. And they did incorporate in your what you sent with where the Riverwalk would go along the middle school and stuff. But as long as we it would be good to maybe have the pathways support for choosing that as a, if we do move forward over the next, I think it's like the next month or two of telling Interfluve, yes, we think these are the two most high priority sites. Try to do some kind of design there that would, incorporate the Riverwalk all the way to, through the middle school at least, or wherever.
Okay,
There's a lot of sediment removal that would have to happen there, and moving around of sediment. So one of the things they're trying to figure out is if they could, when they extract some of the sediment, they could also reposition it in some places to make the Riverwalk work a little bit better.
Yes.
Anyway, so we don't need to belabor that right now, but
other sources of funding, and that's I'm glad you reminded me, and I'll try to look into that and see what we can and sniff out.
I mean, we have fund. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not, if we move forward with applying for funding for a dam removal project at the Knowlton Street Dam, which is pretty feasible right now because we have letters of support from the owner. We don't have trouble getting funding for that. The same organization that is funding the study, generally they want to fund multi-year projects. So they're looking for shovel-ready projects, and they fund millions. It would have to be coupled with, wetland restoration and dam removal and the whole 9 yards. But we would if that works out, it works out, and we would definitely want to have the Riverwalk incorporated into that.
That would be very cool.
And I was gonna ask Interfluve, the one thing they haven't done is look at the, they drew in the Riverwalk kind of in the place where you had, the document that you sent them had it, but I don't know if they've been made aware of the impervious surface stuff. So if
I have some more on that too. So I do want to tell you that there is an old engineering doc, I think, that relates to where the Riverwalk could have been if the dam is removed. In terms of, if it was going to go underneath the bridge, the bridge that after the dam, there's some steps and it goes up, and you can walk underneath that section. Do you know what I mean? On the skateboard side of the little park. Are you following? On the skateboard side, there's the bridge, there's a bridge, a pedestrian bridge that goes over the dam. The Knowlton Street Dam. Is that the one you're talking about at the mill there?
Yep. Here, I can share my screen real quick and show you where they.
There's an old Gartley and Dorsey site plan. Have you seen that?
No. If you can you send it to me?
Yeah. That's not it. I actually have a site plan for that section. Right. Yeah, that's where it exists right now. But if they take out on the right-hand side of the screen where the river goes underneath that pedestrian bridge, just before Knowlton Street, put your little finger on it. There you go. Right there. The original plan was for it to go right down on sort of up there where your hand is, and under the bridge. But what we found is that we couldn't create the head clearance under the bridge because we thought it was ledge underneath there. So we couldn't go down. We couldn't dig down. But originally that's where the plan was for the Riverwalk, right there, right underneath there.
Right. Yep. The bridge may have to be, in order to take the dam out, the bridge may have to be reconfigured or removed.
that's what I was wondering, because the bridge is the foundation of the bridge is the dam, is part of the dam.
Yeah, so it's in their concept here. It says existing footbridge to be replaced.
So it could, one of the suggestions that we had made that was very popular was to raise the bridge up a couple of steps.
Yeah,
And so that it would create the headroom for people to go under. So if they're going to reconfigure it, it could just go up a couple feet and that would be awesome. Yeah. Cool. Let me continue because related to this conversation that you're talking about with the larger grant is the middle school. And I called the DEP to talk to them about impervious surfaces and talked to them for a while. And during the discussion, which went all over the place with possible alternatives, they mentioned that there's a statute that might apply to the middle school. And the statute related to ski areas and educational institutes, which says that if you are one of these two organizations and you do a site plan, which basically says, this is our plan for stormwater runoff, then once you do that, you get a permit from DEP. Once you get that permit, you can add up to 30,000 square feet of impervious, additional impervious surface without another permit. Which
this is
to
all
me
the
was
site law stuff, right?
site law.
Right, this is what we
This is
figured
site
out
law.
the snowball now that we have to do.
That's it. And that's why the snowball is doing that site plan, so that they will then be able to complete it. And then under that, they can actually do, it's the total you can do is 60,000 square feet, but only 30,000 square feet in any 1 year without reapplying to the DEP for that permit.
Right.
Then I got a call from Keith Rose. Margot, can you hear me? She should hear this. Okay, good. All right. I got a call from Keith Rose. He talked to me about the things he's doing. He's been hired by Maria to do some special projects for the schools. And one of those special projects is to build access trails from the middle school down to the McGonagall River. And he wanted to talk to me about what I knew about that, because I've been meeting occasionally with Maria to talk to her about the Riverwalk and progress and where we are. And, you know, you've told me, I went back to ask Maria about impervious surface. Remember that? You guys said, find out if it's actually the right amount of impervious surface. So that was the last time I talked to her, just like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. So that was fresh in her mind. She said she told Keith to talk to me, and we walked the whole section, and I gave him the maps of the Riverwalk and why, and this the whole history. And he was really interested. And their idea is that they'd really like to have a couple of access points to get to the river for the science students, to do riparian and, you know, other studies. And his vision was to have sort of a river walk along the top of the bank running parallel to the river, not down next to the river that gets the high water area. And so, Allison, this is all going in the mix here because they want to do it now. And I told them that I did not think that the DEP would give them a permit to build a trail along the river. So that was, he didn't know that. And so he said, what about if it just happens by people walking on it? I go, that can happen. That'll be a fisherman's trail. And he said, that's fine. But he said, I'd really like then at the top of the bank to have something like what you guys have done on the other parts of the Riverwalk. I said, that's great. And then I suggested to him where it would be. And then I brought up to him the idea of the issue of impervious surface. And he said he knows about that. And then I told him about this exception and that Oak Point, is that right? Oak Point should know about this because when I talked to DEP, I mentioned Oak Point and they said, oh, they've done 2 of these for 2 other schools. They should know how to do this. And so it happened that the next day, Keith met with them and brought it up and said, what about this? And I just heard from Keith today that he had met with them and they said it won't work. And this was a text, and I said, I look forward to talking to you about why it won't work. Because it doesn't make sense to me because the DEP said it would work.
Can I throw in, and this may be completely unrelated, but it was either yesterday or today listening to NPR, and it was about wastewater treatment, and that I think it was actually about billing, and that that users of wastewater that they're redoing the measurement for wastewater to be around impervious surfaces and what gets fed into stormwater that is still going into wastewater, which I thought those were separated. But the bottom line is it looks like those impervious surfaces are going to have a bigger community cost sort of moving forward. And this was Maine law, this was Maine wastewater treatment. And so we've kind of got this confluence right there in that area of impervious surfaces, a wastewater treatment plant. And it would be, I have no idea how this could work, but if there was a way to turn this into some sort of learning site or
well, the wastewater treatment plant does not have an impervious surface area, but the middle school does issue.
Right, but the middle school, so this is
a butter. It's in a butter.
How they're going to do wastewater treatment fees.
Oh, in terms of impervious surfaces.
And
yeah.
Impervious surfaces are going to become much bigger in that metric of your bill, and not just about how much you're flushing down your toilets.
Yeah, it's like if you build a garage. And
yeah, that's for combined systems, because a lot of places, like even Portland, still has a combined system. And so, I mean, we don't technically have a combined system. We have a theoretically completely separate system, but we do still have exceedances all the time where when it rains, our wastewater treatment plant, some of the pump stations, especially on C Street and Bayview Street, they often overflow. And the reasons for that are, a lot of it has to do with a failure to manage stormwater correctly. It gets into the wastewater system. But a lot of places have what's called stormwater utility fees. And some of that funds the wastewater for combined systems. The amount of impervious surface that you have would directly impact, the stormwater utility fee that you're paying or the wastewater fee, depending on the type of system. So I didn't hear the thing that you're talking about, but that sounds interesting. We've talked about that in Camden as a way to try to fund.
Well, it was just on NPR in the last day or two, and so it just feels like there may be some confluence of potential here.
That's where we'd have our park for the wastewater treatment plant would be the park. It would have murals. You'd learn about wastewater treatment and stormwater. There'd be the Riverwalk, the middle school. It makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
We have the chain link barbed wire fence there now, but people just have to keep hammering this. If we could get the school to be really supportive of allowing public access back there, that would help, I think, a lot with the town too. There's all kinds of land back there, and I mean, could be really cool.
Yeah.
That's great that they're excited about, that they're already thinking about trails down there. Even if it's not a full, we can be patient with the whole, pathway, official pathway, just having, little kind of fisherman's trails or whatever you call them. That's a huge victory that just gets people back there. And if we could kind of employ that strategy with the wastewater treatment plant too. I mean,
aren't there funds right now from the COVID distribution, federal funds for these outdoor classrooms, and that's where the money's coming from for these trails? So
That's where the money is. That's where the money is coming from that Maria wants to use for this.
So it has to be done probably this year. It has to, so whatever the pathways can do to help move that along, I think if we are supportive collectively.
Well, yeah, one of the ideas I said, Keith, that you think there's any way to see, he says, if I have to build, I may have to build a bark mulch or trail, which is impervious. And then he doesn't put anything underneath it. And
It's pervious, Jeff. You mean it's pervious?
Pervious. Sorry, it's not an impervious surface. It's pervious. If it was bark mulch, but then of course the problem is the kids can't ride bikes on it. But that's okay. You can't have wheelchair. You can't have anything because it's soft. And I said, if you do that, Keith, please try to consider doing it in a way where we could retro it to stone dust if that ever comes about. And he didn't think there was a way to do that. And he's sort of a facilities management guy, so I don't know. I also floated the idea to him because I think, Andrew, you mentioned this, or somebody mentioned the idea of porous pavement or pervious pavement, they call it. And I spoke to the DE person about that and whether they categorize it, pervious pavement, as pervious or impervious, because you never know. And they said that it would be pervious if you had a stormwater management system built below the trail. So you'd have to have a whole system of managing the water. And she said, it's going to cost a lot. I asked Keith, I told Keith the same idea, and he goes, I've tried to do this before. It's really expensive.
we're putting pervious pavement in the harbor walkway right now as an experiment. They're giving it to us for free as a demonstration project.
In the alleyway?
Exactly, yeah.
But
Dave St. Laurent has been looking for all kinds of places to put that in.
Okay, because that doesn't really have any water management system underneath it at all. It's like 6-inch minus with 1-inch minus, and underneath that is ledge.
There's some of it's directly to ledge and some of it has some dirt, but yeah, I mean, it's better than it rushing down toward the harbor. I mean, it's gonna
it's awesome.
I mean,
it's awesome. And the other thing is that it doesn't form ices. The ice doesn't form on it, which is great in that shaded area. That's
you have to
very
vacuum
cool.
it though every year.
Oh, Miss Clancy?
Can you build a raised boardwalk, and that meets?
Oh,
Yes,
I didn't
we
ask
can.
about that.
I mean,
but
why can't that be done behind the school?
it could be. That would be the whole length.
But
Would
why
have to be.
why is that impossible? I mean, why can't we just do that and then we don't? Well, yeah, but if there's federal money for these paths, why can't that be done?
Exactly. There is money for this kind of stuff with the boardwalks, especially with wetland restoration. And I mean, the getting people out above these kind of special habitats is in those wet areas is considered like a really good public education thing.
Maybe what do you think about a boardwalk at the river level that would be like 3 feet above it?
I think in some places that will be the most appropriate thing, possibly.
On the whole middle school property.
Depending on different things, but yeah, it could kind of traverse through some of that wet area.
Yeah. DEP has said that boardwalk is okay in wetlands as long as you don't use heavy machinery to install it.
Perfect.
Wow, I didn't think about that. Linda, that was, I'm gonna call
I'm texting him right now.
Keith.
Yeah, yeah.
He's meeting with Maria tomorrow.
I just texted him that exact conversation.
Okay,
It's already done.
all right.
Maybe I should send.
He
him
would
the
like
draft
that. He
study.
actually would like that because then he could just build these foot trails down. And then the official Riverwalk would be constructed and it would be in a really cool location. And then we would connect from the wastewater treatment plant, and the MDOT would love that because we would be connecting through. Ooh.
Yeah,
Put
it could
hearts-
become a boardwalk.
Margot, put hearts after that. That's perfect for Keith. I know. Okay, never
You
mind.
got to get the right emoji, okay? And then
Yeah.
then you
Oh,
set
I get to heart. I get to heart, Keith.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Sorry, Allison, go.
Maybe I'm gonna see if I can get Keith to provide comments for this study, because it seems like I didn't realize they were doing so much back there.
I don't know how much, that's
They were thinking about it so much. Maybe
neither did I.
we did
until-
have a science teacher. The science teacher participated in the first.
Is that John Dieter?
Yeah.
John Dieter. He
Yeah.
was down, he was down on the Riverwalk twice that I saw him last week.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I've been in touch. He's sort of been my.
But
contact
understand,
there.
a lot of this is coming from funding that, if you don't use it, you lose it. And this is funding only because of all this outdoor nature focus.
The boardwalk would be so cool. Oh, okay. That's hope, but it's a long shot because of the cost. Who knows? But there
Oh,
may
I
be a
forgot
lot
to
of
say
money.
that we also in the Camden budget, at the last, well, I'm not at the last minute, it was done very thoughtfully. The for the use of TIF funds, the part of where it authorizes.
Which TIF?
Where's the
Is it
report?
the downtown, the outside one?
The downtown, that we're allowed to use downtown TIF funds for the Riverwalk.
For the connectors, that's correct. That's how we did the matching funds, yeah.
And so it's in, we did just in case we wanted to use any of that for, if we were to get some kind of a big grant for that whole section, we did include, it's on the ballot for, so we would be able to use TIF funds as matching funds for Riverwalk
development.
For Riverwalk development. I'll get you the
That
exact.
was, we actually, when we wrote the TIF, or when I didn't write it, when the TIF was written, it included a mention of access points, and the Riverwalk was one of them.
I know,
And
that's why we did it.
Yeah,
We read the
That's-
document and then put it, believe it or not.
cool.
But anyway, so there will
Right.
be a good amount of money available. So say the middle school was like, oh yeah, well, we do have some money from this to do these outdoor classrooms, but we don't have enough for.
Oh,
We could say, in this next fiscal year, if all the stars were to align, there would be money available to help from the town's side of things.
okay. I'm gonna talk to Keith on Friday. Might help. Moving along. I think we covered Route 90. Anything to add, Linda? Or Margot on the Route 90 corridor?
I'm sorry, I think my phone dropped out at that point, so I missed that whole one, but I bet Helen and
just-
Marco filled you all in.
Okay. Helen, anything to add to that conversation? Margot, you just flashed back. Anything in addition to the sustainability sort of initial plans?
No, but I did talk, I mean, Linda just earlier mentioned, oh gosh. So we've got some kids that have walked it. There's some kids who have some enthusiasm around, at least from, Erickson Farm up to the high
Are you
school.
cooking sweet potatoes?
Really?
I'm not. Anybody else cooking sweet potatoes?
Put some
Well-
marshmallows in.
Will already did,
Okay.
black beans.
Oops. All right.
Um,
I'm hungry.
Anyway, we talked about there's some synergy that may be happening that will allow us to refocus. The action plan, I have to go back to Anita's notes because it's now getting into the witching hour.
Yeah, and that has to do with, I think you're meeting with,
Patrick Adams.
thank you, with
And,
Patrick.
and we have a new town manager coming in July, so things are going to be quiet. I can't imagine that we really get cooking on this until the budget passes, and then maybe the Rockport contingent of the Pathways Committee meets with John in August. Right? Let him
That
get
would
it.
be really smart. Yeah.
And by the way, I did have a conversation with Eliza, and she just got home, but she was gonna go back and read some of the emails because she's still on the email distro list to see about signing on to the committee. So we have to encourage Eliza.
She said no. She said no.
No, she didn't though. Not when I just spoke to her before the meeting.
Oh, in the last email that she sent, she said, I don't think so.
Oh,
But you can keep going, Linda. That's fine. Gosh,
Randy?
I know this is off the subject, but it kind of is, kind of isn't. It has to do with Rockville, and they've repaved it. And Bill was supposed to be working with the contractor about discussing extending that pavement section and the redo of the sidewalk in Rockville to start going up Gurney, because that's what the town wanted, the community wanted. Bill's gone, as far as I know. Is that right, Helen?
Which bill are you talking about?
Bill is gone
that-
as of May 27th. He's
Bill
not.
Post.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's nobody to ask. There's no continuity here. This is awful.
Yeah, as far as I know, the select board hasn't appointed an interim
Yeah,
town manager, and by the,
Carrie Leishman.
Linda Greenlaw is, but she's got an election coming up, so I don't know what's going on.
no, it's Carrie.
Carrie's doing it? Did they appoint
Yeah,
her?
he's doing it, but I think it's just a touch base, Jeff, with Mike, right? And Carrie understands this.
Mhm.
Mike denies ever having this conversation with anything, despite me sending him a memo that was sent to him and to Bill Post.
So Carrie is really sharp on this stuff. So I would say just shoot him an email and just remind him.
I'm going to do, what I'll do is I'll send an email to Mike and CC Carrie.
Yeah.
How about that? I just remember that. Sorry. I should have done something about that. Thank you on the Route 90 thing. Andrew, BCM, bike awareness, sort of as prep for sidewalk survey, sort of education opportunity. Did you contact BCM?
Yeah, and I haven't heard back yet. That was just the other day we talked about this. So hoping to hear back soon.
And just sort of frame out what you're hoping for?
Well, same as it ever was, but just a kind of an overview of sidewalk pedestrian safety and ways of doing that, incorporating it into any new construction projects. So people on the committee can get a sound understanding of what's going on.
Or what could go
As far
on?
as, yeah, what could go on as far as construction goes, and measures to take to, to make it work.
So a question for the group is, if they do come up with if they do say, BCM says, yeah, let's do this, and they say, we will have a discussion, like an hour discussion. Do you want that to be part of schedule it as part of a regular meeting, or do you want to set up a special meeting for that? For two reasons. One is that it'll eat up more than an hour for our monthly meeting. And the second reason is BCM is, Andrew, you can correct me, but BCM is lobbying for us to have more than just us on the phone call. They want to get more of the community on the phone call.
I'm not sure yet, but it's kind of the impression I got. But I think it would behoove us to have a few extras like Dave and Dave St. Laurent and people like that are
and
interested.
Mike, yeah, the public works guys.
Yeah.
At least as a minimum. So going around, separate meeting or part of this, Margot?
Would this be also really good to have some kid representation on?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
This is not like a bicycle learning session. It's more like infrastructure, I think, because that's what we do.
I know, but my thought was we've got a lot of kids who actually are interested in the infrastructure. And
yeah,
from that, this isn't about, teach me. This is about wanting to be involved in creating, I've got some kids who this is their one issue that they would like to be involved in.
Well, that sounds great. Yeah, bring them along. To me, anyway.
So from that perspective, I would say separate.
Separate,
I
Anita?
agree.
Helen, separate or?
I'm not really understanding what the issue is. And
it's just saying, sort of deepen our understanding of what could be on a complete street when we do sidewalk surveys or look at making recommendations for improvements for bikes and peds in town. BCM is sort of cutting edge. They stay on top of all these new ideas. And if they did an hour presentation to us, we would learn more about that and have that as a tool when we are thinking about projects and doing sidewalk surveys. And the question is whether we want them to do that during one of our meetings or set up a separate meeting.
I'd say separate.
yeah, separate sounds, I don't want anything that's going to increase this because I need to leave at 7:25.
Right. Yeah, okay. All right. So get some dates that work, Andrew.
Okay, thanks.
Related to that, or just moving along. Oh my God, we didn't do the input. Oh my God.
Not doing it. What? We did it last week. We did it last time.
They changed the questions.
What?
Not doing it.
I'm going to skip that. Oh my gosh. That could have taken the whole meeting. I blew it. Sidewalk survey. Allison, Anita, did you guys have a chance to brainstorm about how that would work in Camden? And Heidi was going to look at how it would work for Rockport if we did this sort of GIS electronic input type stuff. And
Listen,
anything?
I can't do that on my own. I wouldn't have a clue. I'd be happy to.
No, we didn't. Anita and I did not take the next step and connect and solve everything.
And Heidi said, you saw Heidi said that she couldn't do it tonight. She's really busy into the season. I'd like to, I love the idea. I love the, my background is software and computers and databases, and I love all this stuff. And I love what computers can do for us. And I think we should continue to pursue this, but I don't want to hold up the sidewalk survey sort of hostage until that's done. I think we could move ahead and do it manually now, and then next time we'll be set up for doing it, and we could actually learn more about the aspects that we need to integrate or add layers to and consider by doing these surveys. By hand. That's my thought. I feel I have a sense of urgency because it's been like, I don't know how long it's been, like 10 years since we've done a survey. Doesn't it feel like that, Helen?
No, it hasn't been 10 years. No,
It's been at least 5 or 6.
it's been 5 or 6 years, yeah.
All I know is the bushes are totally obscuring us.
Okay, you're right. It's 2014 was Rockport, which means and 2012 was Camden. If you guys don't share it, the reason I feel some sense of urgency is I feel a little embarrassed to put forward when a new public works guy comes and I say, yeah, we've got this survey of the conditions of the sidewalks. It's 8 years old, 9 years old now.
A lot of the same
Yeah.
issues, though.
What's
Yeah.
that, Allison?
I mean, the thing is, it's a lot of the same stuff is still there.
Oh.
So
A lot
mean,
of
it's
it's
like-
done. A lot of it's the same stuff. So this survey is going to be easier because we can look at additions to it.
did you see that they took the bushes down on Free Street, Pearl Street? Tons of hedges totally removed.
Are you kidding me?
At the dentist, right where the dentist place is, and
No,
on
Yeah.
the corner
No.
there. Yeah.
no.
Yes, that was a public works job. Like it was like actual tangible something changed. So that doesn't seem like
Okay,
much.
I'll work on the Johnson's corner on Park and Pearl.
Negotiations have begun. They're going to be doing that, and then there's going to be a picture taken. Letters went out to all of the to a few offending parties. Also, Free Street and Elm Street is another one being worked on. But yeah, I mean, at least it's something is happening. And it turned, the resolution that we passed was enough to be able to do it. But the first actual, like, instead of just getting
Wait, say that.
What's that?
Allison, what was enough or was not enough?
Was
Okay.
but there's still a process when the homeowner, if they say no completely, it's still we're still supposed to get them to do it. It's rather when it comes to actual complete removal, we're trying to go for removal and replanting behind in order to, so that it doesn't just, if somebody trims something and then it just grows right back. So I think the Free Street, Pearl Street one is a really great example of there are some hedges that are getting planted, back further into the yard instead. But a bunch that were just completely taken down. So
That'd be great if they get planted and they start growing, and then you can use it as with photographs, you can show the.
Johnson's? Was that?
no, that's the other one that's an issue. The other part about that one up there is that
Which one up where?
about the Johnson's property is
Yes.
that you can see the sidewalk actually gets really, really narrow up there. And so part of it is that the hedges have invaded into the right of way, and that's an issue. But it's also the sidewalk is a little bit unnecessarily narrow there. And the road a lot of roads in Camden have been shaved off on the right because of the plow. And so the road Pearl Street is going to get redone next year. And so we're looking at
lower or upper.
upper, but as part of that, well, actually both it looks like. And so maybe being able to, as the lower Pearl Street would have, the sidewalk would be made wider because it's not ADA compliant right now. So anyway, a combination of those hedges. I mean, they have been trimmed now, but it's still not enough.
Allison, I'm trying to follow the statement you're making regarding that Park and Pearl corner.
Wait, I don't want to get
Yeah,
quite into the
I'll pull you
weeds.
in.
This is we're getting into the sidewalk survey. I want to pull back and not actually get into each corner and talking about the issues at each corner. We don't have time for that. Sorry. But I'm going to go back. Linda thinks, we just did the survey, so there shouldn't, I think, Linda, is that you don't feel a sense of urgency to do another one for Rockport.
I didn't say that. That's an assumption. You said we hadn't done it for 10 years. And in my mind, I'm like, no, we did it less than 10 years. And Helen said it was 2000. So that is 6
My
years
file
ago.
says 2012.
No,
Camden is 2012 and Rockport is 2000.
Well, Camden's 9 years, which is close to 10.
So I think it's time to do it again in Rockport. It's just, I can't do it. I'm going to be out, I can't walk until probably September. So I would lobby for September in Rockport.
You were just walking.
No, I'm going to have surgery. So then I won't be walking. So I'm glad to help in September, but not before then.
Use your mobility scooter.
I don't think I can do that either.
Well, I've got a window of about 10 days coming up in mid-June.
Yeah.
I don't know where Heidi is. Heidi had May. Margot, you're good in June?
I am not good at all until after June 22nd.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
How
got
do
another
people's-
window in July.
Yeah, July.
July.
Andrew, are you around? When do you go on your bike
Yeah.
ride, Andrew?
No, I'm not going on one soon, but I'd love to do a Camden one and a Rockport one. I think it's overdue.
Yeah.
Maybe
okay.
perhaps we can do it right after we do a BCM presentation. They can teach us all about sidewalks and such.
I'd love that if we could, if we can get that presentation the next month, that would be great, Andrew.
Okay.
Within this next 4 weeks. And then we'd be set to do something in July.
I like that idea.
All right.
And what's the status on Maritime Farms and, because I'll tell you.
I think, Margot, you came in a little late. Allison is going to ask whether she believes it went out to MDOT. MDOT put out a request for proposal, but she's going to ask at the next select board meeting for an update from Jeremy.
Because of all the sidewalks I see in Camden, it's that one that people are like walking in Route 1 to get to.
Yeah.
It's
a bad one. It's badly needed. I think. Helen, I know you have to leave soon. Is there anything particularly that you wanted to mention during this call? Okay. I think that's enough for now. I would suggest anybody who, two things, going back to the, going back up in the agenda to the Rockport Comp Plan input. It's super easy to do your individual input because the questions they're asking you individually are what I sent you and we decided on as a group. So if all of us input that, it would be reinforcing. And all you have to do is copy the words that I sent you and plop them into the survey that I sent the hyperlink to you. It would take you less than 2 minutes, but that would be your individual input.
That's our individual.
There's two surveys. There's there committee member,
Yep.
individual input from committee members, and
Okay.
then a new set of questions that they've asked that they want the committee to answer as a group, which based on our last shot at this, it could take us an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. The questions are completely different than the other ones.
So Jeff, just to go back to the sidewalk survey, what did you all just conclude? That you're going to hold the workshop and then schedule the both town survey in July or August, or are you leaving it up in the air?
We're going to get, Andrew's going to try to get the BCM presentation in the next 4 weeks scheduled. And then after that, at our next meeting, we're going to try to narrow some dates, and I am going to put together the to-do list for each of these. All what needs to be surveyed for each town.
I think we could perhaps draw in some students. What do you think, Margot? I mean, there's a lot, that's a lot of territory well, Route 1 down in Rockport, in Rockville.
This is a sidewalk survey, not what we could do.
No, I know. It's what we did before, and we went
Right.
along.
It's based on existing.
Based on existing. And what I remember when I did Rockville, it was, it's time consuming, and certainly you could do a lot more. Get down. We could be more in depth, I think, if there were more people.
I guess, I think it's a fine suggestion. I found during the last survey that different people looking at it had different qualities of surveys in terms of observing complete streets, which is part of why we're doing this education thing. So if there is a student or are students that are interested, I would mandate that they have to come to this BCM presentation, and that they would not go out, they would go out with one of us. Yeah, and not two students doing the survey,
we would just need plenty of notice.
Oh yeah. And it's quite flexible. It's not like we all hit the streets. It's like, do these 2 streets sometime in July. That's what it is. It's just trying to move it along. Okay. It's not going to be, you have to do it. It's you and Margot and Helen are going to team up, and you're going to do these 3 or this area, which involves 4 streets, and you guys work out when you want to do it. That's it. So we all don't have to go out at the same time.
I think, was Margot talking about scheduling the BCM presentation so the students could attend? Is that what she was asking? Or was she asking about the timing of the survey?
Both parts.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll, it's not going to be like next week. Andrew hasn't even gotten to the BCM to respond yet. So that's why I said, please come back with some dates, not a date, with some date options, because obviously we're going to have to vote on who can come to which date the most people can come to. Any last minute comments?
I think they're going to paint the lines on Mechanic Street on next week. the shoulder. So that'll be exciting.
But not the Sharrows.
No, the sheriffs too, supposedly the whole thing, but
Okay, I have, so
you can
we
actually
should,
see where they're gonna put it. They're gonna, if you look on, have you seen this yet on Mechanic Street? There are dots as the where the guidelines.
I've seen them. I've seen the little notes.
And Allison, you'll be handling all the Facebook comments?
Yes, send Randy straight to me, and all the
Send
other,
Randy
all
straight
my
to
other
you.
friends, Randy and David Dickey and.
Yeah,
Signal.
David Dickey, yeah.
If we could just get them all on one post, that would be helpful.
The Audra has been too busy to add the background information for the Sharrows to the website. I've asked her.
Background information for what, Jeff? What?
Sharrows.
Okay.
I wrote a piece, Linda, you and I wrote that piece, submitted to her in February, I think. And
No.
monthly I've been reminding her about it, to add it to the public works section where the current advisory,
How's about,
so we
So-
should put them in the paper, but I was hoping to link it to the website, but we can't.
but how's about just putting it on the front page of the, doesn't Camden have like a what's new? They have the little boxes down at the, and just put it there. So if people do have questions, who are not on Facebook, who are not getting.
Do you know who does that, Allison? Is that?
I mean, I would
Audra?
recommend that you not just, that assigning things to Audra like that can get, that's a great use of your select board liaison to say, I mean, I can update the website. And so I try to take that on sometimes when it's, but I know you've asked her to do it and she hasn't had a chance, but there's a lot going on. And she's also been kind of instructed to be prioritizing a little bit better. So if you want to funnel some of that stuff just through me, and then I can figure out how to get it on. Sometimes it's just as simple as running it by her and saying, do you want me to post this? And I can.
So is this PR, does it complement what's going to happen on Mechanic Street?
I don't think we need to get caught up. I mean,
Does it,
sure.
Jeff? Is it the same?
Yes.
Well, then
It's what does it mean? And the town should have this information.
The town should put it
there.
on the website that it's
Yeah.
happening, and then here's why.
Yep. And that's what that little blurb says. But Linda, we should at least, I'll send some press releases. That was what our idea was.
Well, you should put it in the.
I mean, you
paper.
haven't sent it to, so you're saying you've been sending Audra monthly. This is where the committee thing gets a little bit frustrating, that you're sending monthly like reminders or assignments to Audra, but that's the explicit role of the select board liaison. Like, I could have probably made that happen if you just included me in it, rather than announcing that you're annoyed with her.
I didn't say I was annoyed. What I said was that I've been trying to, that the full story is that I asked Audra, we have these two stories. This is our vision as background information to put up on the website before the streets are painted so that the people know what they mean and we can reference it when we release newspaper articles. She was great. I can do this. And I'll take care of it.
She had every intention of it, but if you don't, and it feels like just, if you don't include me on any of that, since, I mean, I do take the time to sit here and listen to every single meeting. And then I also have the skill of updating the website myself. So if there's an issue with it actually happening, sometimes it's just, I'm sure she has every intention of getting it done. We get bombarded with website change requests and she just,
I totally understand that. And I totally, and I've asked her each time, is there anybody else that could do this? Can we do it? Can somebody? And so, and I also very much respect that she has to prioritize. And that's totally reasonable. All I'm doing is saying that it's not there.
But if you include me,
and
I
that-
haven't
and-
seen any of these communications that you've had with Audra. And so if you include me, if you just send
Okay.
it to me, if you just send me the last thing you sent to Audra, I'm just
Hmm.
saying I might be able to make it happen because I actually
Okay.
can update the website.
I'll call you.
Oh, maybe just send it to me. I mean, it might.
There's another little bit to it, so I'll chat
Oh.
to you about it. Just a little bit,
Oh,
because
Now-
it's what Audra wants to do. So it's her
Oh.
vision. It's her vision. So
so
They-
just send it to the paper. Just let it
we'll
go.
do both. Linda, I'm going to send it to you again to see if there's anything missing, just to check in on that. But we'll send it to the Camden Herald and the Penn Bay Pilot.
So what I don't understand is if it I don't know, but this is where Allison and if what you wrote, Jeff, exactly mirrors is what's going to happen on Mechanic Street. You want to make sure that what you put out there is exactly what is going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
It doesn't go line by line, foot by foot, and explain what's going to happen.
No,
It talks about what does a shero mean. That's
But
what
does
it
it, the
says.
symbol, so what's being painted on the road, is that going to match what is in your PR? I think that's and maybe
I
it's a
don't
question
know.
for Dave.
I don't know.
Maybe you
I'll send
send,
it. I'll ask Dave.
yeah, I think
I'll
that's
make sure that symbol is exactly the same.
because the town will only get criticized if, what you say is going to happen and then some other symbol comes and everybody's going to say, well, that's not what you said it was going to say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And Allison, how confident are you on the timing?
I kind of wish I hadn't said anything. Because obviously there are all these layers to this. It seems to should be very simple. Well, it was supposed to happen last week and I got really excited about it. And then we found out that they ran out of paint and that they had to reschedule.
That's fine. That's fine.
So when I heard it might happen Monday, of course, that's dependent on rain. And I was
Mhm.
kind of like, well, I am definitely not going to get my hopes up. I'm not going to tell my kids like I did last time.
It's
So
totally fine, Allison. In the next 2 weeks, it will happen, I would say.
right.
Reasonably.
So, but really,
That's fine.
it's just mostly I don't know if the sharrows are happening at the exact same time, but it's the lines are going on this, just normal shoulders are going on the road. So it's nothing.
I'll double check.
radical.
I'm going to double check with Dave because we don't want to jump the gun. And
I mean,
that's
I
fine.
talked to Dave today, so it's not like you need to check again. I'm giving you the most up-to-date information. I'm just feeling a little frustrated because I don't know why we can't. I don't know. This website thing is a little confusing.
All right. And I just confirming, Allison, you asked Dave whether the sharrows were going on, or did you ask whether the lines were being painted?
The plan, it's supposed to happen all at the same time, but I don't know what happens if they run out of paint and they realize that it's
Okay.
it's all
That's fine.
happening this.
I'm just gonna send Dave an email that says, can you confirm that this is the sharrow shape that's going to be used?
And if you just copy me on that too, then I'll know
You got it.
what. So it ends up wasting town staff time when it's duplicated. When I then
Allison,
go and ask the same question. And
do you want me to send it to you and let you take care of
no,
it?
it's just helpful for me to know what communication has gone on so that I don't waste their time by asking it again in the same. You know what I mean? So if you just copy me, then I'll know, and
You
then
got
I'll
it.
know when I can be helpful and when I should not do anything.
You got it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anything else? Anybody?
Yeah,
Linda?
just circle back to Rockport. Margot, once the budget is passed, right, on June 8th, it would be great if you and I and Helen and Heidi just maybe sent an email to John. What do you say? And then saying, can we meet in August? But just to say, hooray, and here's what was included in that, just to plant the seed.
Yep, and I think we might want to also, if we want to dig up any previous correspondence and just kind of give them some back history.
Okay, good idea. Because I think we want to jump on the DOT as soon as possible, right? Tell Patrick.
If the budget passes, absolutely.
Let me know if you want me to be a fly on the wall in that meeting.
Who are you meeting with, Linda?
Well,
Bill
we are,
Post.
we're,
No,
no,
not Bill Post.
No.
New
Duke,
select,
John
Duke,
Duke.
on,
John Duke.
if we can do something in August, just to keep that ball rolling.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take a breath.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
okay.
you.
Jeff,
Oh, are you talking to me about taking a breath?
Exactly. There you
Oh,
go.
I'm totally fine.
right.
You don't know, it took me so much to gain access to the website. Like, I have felt this frustration that you have for years, and now all this work I finally achieved. I have the password to the website. Sometimes I can actually make these things happen. So it's like this small part of me that, like, I maybe wants to be the hero or something, I guess. And I'm like,
Maybe
I might be able to solve this. Give me a chance. It's like,
Yeah, and it's possible that I know that Audra had something a grander planned, and it design
yeah,
wise.
there's all kinds of we have grand plans for the website, and
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's always like another layer, but if I can be helpful, I will. If not, I will stay out. And I'll be fine with it too.
You got it. You got it.
All right,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the applause, Andrew. Those are much appreciated.
That's to Jeff and Anita for their
Yeah.
dedication.
Oh, thank you,
Hey,
Andrew.
Anita. Yay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Good night, you
Good
guys.
night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.